Hey, Robert and Cameron, this is Andrew and Matt, and you've heard me on the NFL Goal Line show before, and you're about to meet my friend Matt Markow, and what we want to do is hopefully do our own show together, and we're doing this to give you a good idea of what that might entail, what we sound like together, and hopefully just give you an entertaining 30 to 45 minutes. So, Matt? Any thoughts before we get started here?
I'm just as excited as you sound.
Yeah, and I sound very excited right now.
That's right.
And so
let's talk about sports.
Let's do that. Well, but first, how's your summer going? Because we are 2 weeks out of school at this point.
Oh, summer's here, the weather's warm, and unfortunately not very sunny.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know out there in California where some of them are, it's been very pleasant, actually very hot out there, but here on the East Coast it's just been rain and also rain, so hopefully that can turn around soon, but...
Not the East Coast I know, by the way. Full of sunshine and clear skies, usually.
Well, it actually is, but I don't want to crap on your point too much.
Too late. Well, listen. Now that school's out, it's very strange because I was telling somebody the other day, 180 straight days of school, I'm thinking, man, I just need to get to summer. But now that I'm in summer, I'm like, man, I'm really bored. I think I'd rather go to school right now. You know what I mean?
You just need to go to college, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Just one more year, actually.
Oh, one long year. Yeah.
Well, now you can at least sleep in, though.
Right.
Which was a drag on you during the school year. Not necessarily on me, but Markow can do a whole rant about my sleeping habits.
Oh, listen, when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, I don't care.
Not every day, just some days.
I don't care
Most days,
I don't care what you say. It's A, unhealthy, and B, you're essentially an android at that point. Like, you're running on, I don't even know what. More than caffeine.
I'm running on Gatorade because I try to consume about like 3 or 4 Gatorades or 3 or 4 waters per day.
There must be something about the amount of electrolytes you consume lowers the amount of sleep that you need. I have no idea how that works.
I will absolutely be dead by the time I'm like 33 or 34 if I keep this up. So
rock and roll, man, rock and roll.
Yep. So
anyway, I spend my days mostly just playing video games now because I'm incredibly bored. So
right. Well, I'm actually starting to get back into NBA 2K12 and hotly anticipating the new 2K14 game. I did my player in my second year. My player, which I affectionately named Castor Troy. Anybody out there who's seen Face Off?
That's
brownie
right.
Points to you.
Fans of the greatest movie of all time will get that reference.
Yeah, and once again, we might end up discussing that in a future show, too. But he's currently averaging 35 points per game.
That's right. Yeah, that's
like
insane.
12 steals, 8 assists, and like 9 turnovers. So, what can I say? I'm an egregious ball hog. But actually, NBA 2K14 is on pre-order right now, and Matt and I were just talking about some of the things that we want to see in the new game. And I actually saw this today. They're introducing 14 EuroLeague teams into the game, like not as part of the NBA League for when you do franchise mode or something, but just for casual play or maybe for online play. So is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, for the average American, does anybody really care about the EuroLeague? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing with the NFL. They used to have a European league.
Yeah.
And guys like Kurt Warner would go over there to hone their skills. It was essentially the CFL, but in Europe.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way, too.
That's how this is, kind of. Of course, there are a lot of good European basketball players.
But none of them in the EuroLeague.
None of them in the EuroLeague. That is the caveat. But I want to say, first... so it doesn't sound like we're just jumping from game to game, we both kind of skipped 2K13.
We both did skip 2K13 because what I try to do is I try to order a new sports installment, like a new installment of a new sports series every 2 years or 3 years, because if it's just every year, there's not enough change. It just feels like a roster update.
And also, the games are incredibly expensive.
Yeah, they're $60, and it's not like, I'm getting the new Fallout game that I've been waiting 4 or 5 years to get. It's just, it comes out every year, and it's a $60 roster update.
Right, and the biggest improvement was Jay-Z is an executive producer of the new 2K13.
Exactly, they have new rap music for you to listen to.
And it's like, really? How does that improve my experiences in actually playing the game? I don't understand it. Like, Jay-Z being the selling point? Okay.
That actually was a significant selling point of 2K13.
Although, I will say, I heard nothing but good things about the career mode. The career mode was good.
Well, actually, that's really where you get me to purchase a game, the career mode, because if you have a really unique or different My Player mode, I can be sold on the game instantly. And actually, just to close out the thought on the EuroLeague teams, like, you know how when we play each other in 2K12, we go random and, you arrive at a team and play them?
Sure.
I think the EuroLeague teams exist solely for the purpose of when you random the Bobcats or when you random the Wizards, and the other person's like, oh, crap, gotta be a EuroLeague team now.
That's right, and this is a slippery slope. If we allow the EuroLeague teams to be in this game, how long is it going to be until the Charlotte Sparks or whatever, the WNBA team?
The WNBA, you can start putting high school teams in
high
games.
School teams, that's right.
Like,
next, the youth basketball team at the Y is going to be here.
We've been known to play some competitive basketball games in the driveway. You, me, and some other friends that are not on the radio show. We could be in the downloadable content next. Pay 200 Microsoft points and you get us.
That's right.
And, oh my God, I would actually pay those Microsoft points in a heartbeat.
Unfortunately, no one else would, so that's the problem.
You get one sale. No, 5 sales. Like, all 5 of us would buy it, and then the rest.
It's a slippery slope, definitely. But I will say that European teams usually, and this is obviously a generalization, but they have guys that are more sharpshooters and less. They're less kind of flashy. They really don't have. They don't play like
you don't see a lot of dunking.
No.
You don't see a lot of really insane dribble moves or anything like that.
It's more of a pure style of basketball, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, essentially it's like they invented slash and kick and stuff like that. It's a lot of spacing, and while the European leagues aren't very good, they did kind of influence the style of basketball a lot, and obviously if it were mandatory for everybody born in a certain country to play in that certain country's basketball league, you could definitely have some Euro teams that would, while maybe not win an NBA championship, you could have some teams that would definitely be competitive in the NBA.
Sure.
Because if you had the Gasol brothers on the same team, like for Spain, that's a really, really insane down low presence.
All-time European team, Manu has to be on there.
Manu's got to be on there.
Dirk has got to be on there.
Absolutely. And actually, this isn't European, but if we were making this an all-time, like, just foreign players team, you could put Hakeem Olajuwon on there. You could put the Dream.
He's not... Is he foreign?
Yes, he is. I mean, he actually immigrated to the U.S., I believe, when he was 12 or 13. And he was...
Is he European, though?
He's not European, but I'm saying, like, if we were making it an all-foreigner team instead of an all-European team, he could... Like, that would be an insane presence down low.
Right.
And then, also, if we were including all foreigners, you could put Steve Nash on there.
Well, Canada is essentially U.S. North. That's how I envision it.
That's true, and when you have, like, half of the current... NBA draftees coming from Canada or other countries, very soon, like the all-foreigner team could start including a significant portion of the NBA. But I actually think an all-Europe team would be pretty fascinating to see. Because
yeah, they could be fun to play as.
Because, like you said, you could put Dirk on there, you could put Tony Parker on there, the Gasol brothers you could put on there. Yeah. Trying to think who else. Well... if this ends up getting posted and any listeners want to suggest some really good European players that we're missing for the All-Euro team, by all means, just leave a comment.
Yes. Well, and also, but I want to say that the European teams also are sharper shooters usually. Like,
yes.
They're more based. They're more of their game is based around the three ball
spacing,
and outside
ball
shooting.
movement.
Right. So, and that's why whenever
not running a lot of isolations.
Whenever I play NBA 2K12 against you,
it's one player doing everything. Like, if you're the Golden State Warriors, as in 2K12, it's Steph Curry taking every shot for you.
That's why I want to be the Warriors, though, because
of course.
They're an incredibly good three-point shooting team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fun to play as.
Yes, I want teams, and unfortunately there's not many teams in the NBA now that can shoot threes consistently well. And
like, they usually have one 3-point guy per team, or maybe 2 3-point guys. But I'd be really this is something I would like to see in the new 2K14. I want an all 3-point team in there.
All 3-point team.
I want an all dunk team in there, because wouldn't the all dunk team just be the most fun ever to play at?
A lot of range from the all 3-point team to the all dunk team. A lot of range there, as in no post game for the all 3-point team.
No, that's not necessarily true. Kevin Love. You could put Kevin Love in there.
Yeah, but mostly it would be Ray Allen and Reggie Miller.
But that's the thing.
Like,
you could take some liberties with the all 3-point team to just be people who are really good at shooting threes, not necessarily the best at shooting threes, if it can give you a post game, or some really good dribblers or something else along those lines.
And then, of course, opposite.
The all dunk team is not going to have any shooting.
Never going outside of the 3-point arc there.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you could, if we're including players from, obviously, past teams, like the 1980s, 70s, and whatnot, that would definitely open it up a lot, because you could start putting Dominique Wilkins on there. You could start putting, like, Clyde Drexler and a lot of great dunkers of past times, Dr. J. Like, I would play as that team every single time when we played 2K14, if that were on there.
Well, yeah, but today it's just Blake Griffin. You have to be 5 feet away from the rim, or else.
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
Not going in.
Like, that's actually a really good point. We don't have a dominant dunker in today's NBA.
No.
Like, people would argue it's Blake Griffin. I would argue that Blake Griffin's dunks are overrated.
He's had some good ones.
Well, of course. I mean, he's definitely a talented dunker, but he's not. I feel like he's not as explosive as Dr. J was, or you're never gonna see Blake Griffin dunking from the foul line in a game or something.
But he's also much bigger, though. It's harder for him to get off the ground for that long. But anyway, so as far as the other improvements for NBA 2K14,
well, an improvement I want for my player mode, or my career mode, and this is actually something that I want to see in both 2K14 and Madden 25, which we'll get to in a little bit. I want to be involved in off-the-field stuff. I want to be able to, like, sign endorsements. I want to be able to, like, choose how my player spends his time away from the field, like, whether he spends it watching game film or partying. Like, because that's really reflective of what the life of an athlete is like.
Hold on. Are you suggesting to me that an NBA player likes to go out and party a little bit after a game?
No, of course not.
Because that is just a wild, false accusation. No proof to ever back that up.
Well,
the next thing you're going to say is maybe he's going to frequent a strip club once in a while.
He might do that.
No, absolutely not.
Well, that's the thing. You get what I'm saying, though. Like, I want those choices, because that's... it gets a little bit boring if you're in year 6 and it's like, all right, play game, spend skill points. Play game, spend skill points. At the end of season, sign new contract. Play game, do drills, spend skill points.
But they need to find a balance, because if they go too far one way, it just becomes essentially Grand Theft Auto. And
No. It's not like open world. You could do whatever you want. But
that would be cool, though.
That would really be cool. That's like an idea from Madden 2046 or something.
Right.
But
no, I'm saying, like, eventually you're going to end up in an underground poker game with Gilbert Arenas, and it is just not going to be a good time. It is just not going to work out well for your character.
But actually, the college football games do a pretty good job of this. Like, during the week, they'll say, okay, what do you want to do today on your off day? It'll be like, study, lift weights, look at game film, go to party, I don't know, stay in and sleep or something.
Sure.
And, while it's a very rudimentary form of what I'm talking about, like, it does have consequences for your player, and it is true to life. Like, it builds your player's personality. It kind of, either directly or indirectly, builds their skills, and just kind of builds how much respect they're earning from the student body, how much the coach likes them, etc., etc. And I'd really like to see that feature in the new game.
Yeah, but you're limited with college because obviously
It's 4 years.
It's 4 years, and you can't get paid. You can't really do anything like
Although
that.
I would like to see that in a college game. Like, you're getting recruited out of high school, and a guy says he could get you a new Hummer. You take it?
That's right.
Yes, I think I will take that.
Your decisions will impact you later. Like, you got a higher risk of being taken down by the NCAA later.
Well, we know that doesn't have any actual consequences
That's right.
for people who take those benefits.
Here,
so.
take my Heisman. It doesn't mean anything. But anyway.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, if you win the Heisman, then they take it away. The people have in their minds you won the Heisman.
You still won
year.
the Heisman.
Like 2004, who won the Heisman? Oh, Reggie Bush. Oh, wait, you got it taken away. Who was the second place guy that year?
I think they just void it, though, right? It's not the second place guy.
It's just nobody won the Heisman?
I think it's just a void year. It's the same thing with national championship, right?
Oh, really?
I think so.
I actually didn't know that. Like,
I don't know. We'll have to have listeners call in if this show gets picked up.
well, that would be interesting to see on ESPN.com. Like, you go to that year, that game, and then, like, the USC or Texas 45, USC 41, or whatever the score was, just gets replaced with, we had to pretend there was no national championship game this year.
Yes, there was a lockout in college.
Like, you see, because Reggie Bush accepted payments, USC's record is 0-10 this year.
Right. That's right.
So, actually, let's move on to Madden 25. And actually, can I just say how dumb that title is? It's Madden 14.
It's Madden 14.
It's not. What will they call it in Madden in like the year 2025 if it's still around then? Like Madden 2025.
Yeah, I think they'll just call it Madden 2025, which doesn't really ring. It doesn't have a nice ring to it.
It's like the difference between Fast and Furious and The Fast and the Furious. Like, am I watching the first one or the fourth one? And what am I doing with my life either way?
Yes. Great movies, by the way.
Oh, yes. We can spend a whole show discussing Fast 5 and Fast 6.
Thespians such as Vin Diesel and Paul Walker.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and for those of you who aren't privy to this, and I'm assuming if you don't know Mark Howe and you're not from the greater Princeton area, you're definitely not. Mark Howe's...
Lucky you, if you aren't.
Mark Howe's specialty is movies, so if a good sports movie ever comes out, we're spending a whole show on it. Or he might be spending a whole show on it while I sit there and nod.
The new Joe Paterno movie with Al Pacino, that...
Yes, I actually will be going to see that.
Oh, first day. Opening day, I'll be in line there. Midnight showing.
And this is actually unrelated to that and Madden 25, but I just felt the need to mention this on the podcast. Wolf of Wall Street looks fantastic.
Yes. It doesn't have anything to do with sports, except maybe competitive midget throwing. Maybe that's a sport. But, yes.
If you didn't get that joke, just go watch the trailer for Wolf of Wall Street. But I just felt the need to bring that up on the show.
Yes, it's that good that we need to actually talk about it on a sports show. It looks that good, yes.
Yeah, but, all right, back to Madden 25. What do you want to see out of Madden 25?
Well, I thought Madden 13, I believe the last one was.
No, it's Madden 24.
It's hard to keep track. I thought Madden 13 was a big disappointment, actually.
Really?
Although... They did change the franchise mode to where now it's actually playable, whereas before franchise mode was just you almost had no control over your team. It was just like...
Wait, I actually didn't pick up... I did pick up Madden 13, I just didn't play a ton of the franchise mode, so And I didn't pick up Madden 12, so I don't really know what changed in there. Like, what changed?
Well, Madden 13 free agency was improved, where it was essentially like almost an auction where guys would go be available for a certain period of time, and multiple teams had about like a 13-day window to bid, and then the guy would, you could re-up the bid and whatever, or the guy would reject it, and it was just a really comprehensive kind of free agency
What was it
system.
in 12?
In 12, it was just like the first person to sign them with the most money. It's pretty much...
So it's like if some team just made a huge offer and blew everyone else away, you didn't even have the chance to...
Yeah, this also
re-up them.
added how interested the guy is to actually coming to your team or re-signing with you, or it took in mind like actual stuff that the players would consider.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they had those features in like 07 and 08. Then for some reason they got rid of them because they were too focused on doing 5-on-5 football on the Wii. And by the way,
let's never bring that up again. By the way,
and just as a caveat, the Wii U is just selling horribly, the worst out of any console in decades.
Let's not give them any lip service, even if it's negative.
All right, I'm sorry. Praise Sony.
Yes. So Madden 13 also even though the franchise mode was improved, the player mode was totally just exactly the same, totally bland, really hard to...
Well, like I said, it's do drill, pick up skill
right.
points, play games, spend skill points.
That's right.
In the other games, you actually like got to choose your background, like your parents' careers, and it influenced like what position you would become and what your skills were. You chose like what endorsements to do, what agents to hire, and if you had a certain personality, you couldn't hire this agent, or you could get that endorsement. Like, it was very realistic. You could demand a trade and stuff like that.
It's also just really awkward to do a player mode, though, because unless you're the quarterback involved in every play, if you're like a running back and you're supposed to go out for a screen, it's really hard to control the running back to run the correct route, or a receiver. Mm-hmm. It's just very hard and very awkward in the controls.
Like, I was a running back for a while, and I actually enjoyed that, but can you imagine somebody doing a My Player mode as, like, a right guard and being like, oh, yeah, did you see how I blocked that guy for an 8-yard gain?
Is that even an option? Is that even an option?
There are My Player modes for offensive linemen.
Wow.
That's a thing that exists.
That's insane.
Like,
I'd like to see that.
You also brought up wanting to adjust the difficulties. So what do you mean by that?
Well, before, or at least in Madden 13 and every game previous, it seemed like the first 3 modes, it had 4 modes of difficulty overall, which were Rookie, Pro, All-Pro, and All-Madden. And obviously, each level, higher difficulty. So, the first 3 difficulties, it was like, Rookie, just impossible to stop. You were impossible to stop.
You went 91-0 in like a 5-minute quarter game.
Pro, a little bit harder, but not really at all.
It became like 60-0.
Yeah, it went from 90-0 to 60-0. All Pro, that's about average difficulty, I would say.
Yeah.
But the problem is average difficulty, but this is the 3rd out of the 4th hardest difficulties. So it's like, all right, you still want a little bit more of a challenge. You go up to All Madden, and then all of a sudden you're the one that's losing 60-0. It's like it goes from 0 to 100. You know what I mean? It's insane. Essentially, it's that big of a difference.
If you're a quarterback and you hold on to the ball for more than 1 second, in pretty much all cases, you get sacked. And God forbid you ever try to do a play action.
Oh my God! Michael Vick suddenly turns into like David Carr, circa 2004.
Then
I know, timely reference. I know.
Look, if you think that Markel can sling around untimely football references, wait until we get to like week 7 of the NFL season. I will be the king of untimely NFL references.
That's right.
I can do that. But let's see what else. Runs will always go for no gain at best.
Oh, if you get back to the line, it's usually the quarterback gets tackled while trying to hand the ball off. It's like I'm expecting a butt fumble situation to happen again. That's how.
Don't speak of that incident on the show again.
I'm sorry. Andrew Goldstein, diehard Jets fan.
One of the more like dying, not even diehard, just dying Jets fan. But let's see what else. Well, I did like a running back all Madden on my player because, like you said, all pro was a little too easy. Not only did all of my runs go for losses, but whenever it was a passing play, it was always a sack, a fumble, or an interception.
Always.
Like, guy completes it for 2 yards and then fumbles was literally the best result that you could ever
That's
get.
if you're lucky, yeah.
That was, and it's not like it was a bad stretch in the first quarter. Like, I played a full game, and that was the best result that happened.
You can never run a play action, or it's just too. So they need to find difficulty level in between there. As it most of the other games like MLB The Show have.
Yeah, I remember you saying that the difficulty on the show was very good.
Yeah, it has about 5 or 6 difficulty levels, as does NBA, I believe. It has more than 4, at least, right?
I think that 2K12 had 5.
Yeah, it had 5.
I'm not entirely sure about that. We'll be checking after the show.
There's got to be a mode in between, like, average and impossible. There has to be a mode between. There has to be challenging, but not so challenging that you can't do anything.
And actually, maybe other people haven't had this experience, and I'm just bad at 2K12, which is a really strong possibility. But once you get on the second or third difficulty in 2K12, no matter what you do on defense, your opponent just starts making every shot.
That's right. Yeah.
And
exactly.
like you've had that experience
I've had
too.
that experience
I'm just not completely inadequate at 2K12.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, I mean that's still possible, but
it's like Desagna Diop is suddenly the 3-point leader of the all-time record holder.
Scalabrini is dunking on you and putting up like 25, 6, and 4.
Yes, the immortal Brian Cardinal is
the custodian. Brian Cardinal
is dunking on Dwight Howard, just totally posterizing him, just totally.
And it's funny for like the first couple minutes, but when you're losing like 85-61 in the fourth quarter, it's like, okay, this is a little unrealistic here.
No, it's usually 40 points or more. Like one game I remember I lost by about 50, almost 60 points.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was. But of course, once it gets to like 30, you just stop trying.
Right, like you just start launching threes.
You just start throwing full court alley oops to guys that aren't even under the basket.
Oh yeah, like one time, because on one of my player careers, my guy was playing for the Phoenix Suns, and our next game was against the Warriors and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and I thought, okay, easy mode is a little too. Well, easy. Let's ramp this up to pro.
Right.
Steph Curry's first half stats are like 14 to 15, 7 to 7 threes, and I wasn't playing terrible defense on him.
No.
I'm not good on defense, but I wasn't leaving him wide open for every shot.
Right.
And he's just sinking everything. Like double teamed, triple teamed, doesn't matter. Like if you block his shot, it's a foul.
Although to be fair, some of the games in the playoffs, he was kind of like that as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, not just Steph Curry. Like, Klay Thompson was like that. Bogut, like, no matter what you did, he would just...
Richard Jefferson's corpse. Everyone was just joining in on the three. For some reason, Richard Jefferson... Is he still in the league, by the way?
I think he is. I'm not even sure at this point.
He was on the Warriors in 2K12, that's for sure.
And because he was on the Spurs at one point, I remember, but... I don't know.
T-Mac on the Spurs, speaking of corpses.
Well, that's the thing. And you see this sometimes, where the veteran's like, all right, I can't do anything anymore, but I want to cash a few more paychecks. I want to win a ring. I want to advance past the first round of the playoffs for the first time in my career. So, the Spurs are easy enough. I can get a minimum contract from pretty much anybody. Yeah. Let's just go with that.
More shameless push for a championship ring. Ray Allen to the Heat or T-Mac to the Spurs?
Well, first of all, Ray Allen, I don't think you can consider it shameless because he could actually still do things. Even if it's just sit in the corner and wait for a 3 attempt, he could actually still do that very well. And with the style that the Heat played, that was actually an asset. Like, they needed somebody
Right,
like that.
but him on defense is just like, it's the old Matador defense.
Olé!
Yes, that's right. And yeah, of course he made the biggest shot in probably 10 years in playoff basketball. But,
Yeah, which, when you're considering his career, has to count for something.
But on the other hand, T-Mac was great at getting towels for the starters.
Towels.
Water.
He had some fantastic high fives and fist bumps.
That's right. After
he held the clipboard. Oh wait, that's just football. He would have held the clipboard. He would have been a damn fine clipboard holder.
Oh, one of the best. Listen, once Tony Parker made that big shot in Game 1 to win the game, he cheered louder than anyone else in the entire stadium.
I mean, we're mocking him for that now, but that could be a legitimate asset. Like, who would you rather be greeted by after making a huge shot? Like, a 40 or 39-year-old T-Mac who knows exactly what he's there for and is just happy to be chasing a ring? Or, like, a 38-year-old Vince Carter who's still pissed that he didn't take 25 shots.
Who's still nursing an injury from the first quarter.
From the first quarter, try, like, 2005 when he was trying to get traded from Toronto.
Oh, Vince. Yes.
What would we do without you?
Well, anyway.
We would be the same.
Madden, besides all the mode problems that it has in various player modes and stuff, the new physics engine they introduced was also just a disaster. Just players would get tackled, and it was supposed to be like a variation of which ways they would fall, and it was supposed to be all based on physics and stuff.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden, somebody would get tackled, and you would just see him go like flying, spinning around, doing a triple somersault. Like I thought it was
like this turned into NFL Blitz or something.
Yeah, like it was watching the Beijing Olympics, like what or whatever the last Olympics were.
It was the crap. How do I know?
London. Yeah, it was like I was watching floor exercises or whatever it's called. Yeah,
oh boy.
And I don't understand it. It's supposed to be based on physics. But...
Like, I half expected to see, like, in the old NFL Street, how flames would start coming out of their body, and you just had, like, that mode in the old NFL Street where you could just activate it, and your running back could just, it was physically impossible for him to get tackled. And when he ran into somebody who would just send them flying, like, that was... This new physics engine was that, but really, really light.
You just described Adrian Peterson from last year, by the way.
Yeah, that's very true. I did.
Yes.
But speaking of football, we have to talk about our team's off seasons.
Yes.
Because your team has gone through a lot.
That's right. I'm a Patriots fan. Mr. Goldstein over here, diehard Jets fan, as I mentioned before.
Dying.
Diehard, dying.
Grieving.
Yes. So we couldn't be more opposite in terms of the teams that we root for, unless maybe he was a Giants fan, in which case I would have already killed him already after the 2 losses. But
you probably would have killed me in like 2007, even before the second one.
No, like, I would have gotten Aaron Hernandez to do that. Oh, God,
no.
Matt, it's too soon.
Yeah,
the trial.
It's never too soon.
I should have went with Ray Lewis. You're right. Go.
Oh boy. But speaking of that,
those groans you're hearing, by the way, not
like once again, if we had a drop man, this is where he'd be playing the cricket sound.
That's right. That's right.
But
I'll be here all night, by the way. Thank you.
Try the buffet.
Yes.
Aaron Hernandez, do you have any thoughts on that haven't already been said by NFL memes or anything like that?
The finest source of football news.
My
NFL
only
memes.
source of football news,
right.
NFL memes.
Right. Well, yeah, it's impossible to talk about the Patriots offseason without Aaron Hernandez. But I mean, he's done with the Patriots. And even if...
Of course.
Even if he somehow comes out of this without having to serve any time or getting into any sort of legal trouble...
Which, if Ray Lewis is any indication, is a real possibility.
I don't imagine he'll be playing in the NFL again, at least for this year. Definitely this year and maybe for forever.
Well, I actually think it's very interesting. You saw how the Ravens handled Ray Lewis back in 2000. They kept him on the team. They said, we're not going to do anything until the ruling's decided. And then once he got off, he just kind of went right back to playing. I think it's interesting that the Patriots already dropped Hernandez. Do you think that's an organizational thing? Like, we just don't want an accused felon on our team? Or do you think they know something that the public doesn't?
I think they definitely know something, because I believe at the time that they released him, he wasn't formally accused of anything, or he wasn't actually brought in.
What I think is he was a suspect, but he wasn't actually arrested.
Right, he wasn't arrested yet, but
once he was upgraded from not a suspect to suspect, that's when they did it, I think.
Yeah. So I think they have some sort of inside whatever, but either way, it's just not smart to keep him on the team. It's just a big distraction, and if there's anything that Belichick doesn't like, it's distractions. So
right.
The further they can distance themselves from Hernandez, the better, and that's what they're trying to do, obviously. So
yeah. And actually, there's some big news with their other tight end, too, because Gronk is having surgery in everywhere. What is it now, like forearm, knee, back?
It's really, he's just unlucky. I could say first, let's chalk it up to Bernard Pollard being...
Bernard Pollard just assassinated him.
Yes, out of control. He should be the one going in instead of old Hernandez there.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing. Good movie. Fake movie. Bernard Pollard frames Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, my...
Why hasn't anybody thought of this yet?
Oh! Wait a second.
Forget whatever we were going to do for the rest of the show. We have to work this out.
This may not even be a fake movie. This may be a real-life scenario.
But that's the thing.
Call the Attleboro PD right now.
Well, he moves to Tennessee, so... I'm not sure what that would have to do with this. So, it would seem counter-logical because he's moving farther away, but maybe he did that to throw people off the scent.
That's right. Maybe he's actually got a twin named...
Bernard Ballard.
Bernard Ballard, that's right.
No, hold on. Bernard Ballard.
Bernard Ballard, that's right. A twin, and he actually,
No, there's face switching involved. There's a face-off situation here.
Or how about this? Odin Lloyd, the guy that was murdered, actually Bernard Pollard's cousin, I want to say?
Bernard Pollard's cousin.
Bernard Pollard's cousin, but this is obviously not found out. But he hires his cousin to take the fall.
Yeah, ooh. So, what would this movie be called? It needs a good title.
Quote the Raven, nevermore.
The Patriot Act.
I would say Patriot Games, but that's already a Tom Clancy movie starring Harrison Ford.
Well, is that a good movie? I don't know movies at all, so...
I mean, I have no idea. I've never seen it. I don't even know what movies are. But anyway... I want to say that just my final thoughts on the Hernandez thing. It's just it's a shame because again, the two tight end offense, everyone's copying it now.
Mm-hmm.
It was totally incredibly effective. Essentially, they had one wide receiver for 3 straight years, Wes Welker, who is hardly a number one wideout.
Yeah, he's barely taller than I am.
Right. So, and somehow the Patriots were always consistently, if not number one, at least in the top 3 offensive teams in the entire league.
Yeah, and they nearly broke their own record for number of points scored last year with, as you said, one very effective receiver, Welker. One, I'm not going to say totally useless, but very disappointing wide receiver, Brandon Lloyd. And then really just... the 2 tight ends and some running backs.
Yeah.
That's it. And actually, now that these 2 tight ends could be out of the picture for the next year, I mean, I know Gronk says he'll be ready for week 1, but the odds of him getting re-injured are pretty high. Do you put Tebow at tight end?
Well,
I hate even mentioning his name because he's already undergone so much undue hype, but this looks like a real possibility now.
if you told me at the end of last year that the Patriots would lose Welker and Hernandez and replace them with Danny
And potentially Gronkowski. We don't know yet.
Yes, let's just say definitely. They would definitely lose Hernandez and Welker and replace them with Danny Amendola and Tim Tebow. I would have
Punched me in the face.
I wouldn't say punch, but there would be some sort of reaction where I would lose control of my bowels, maybe. I have no idea.
What, you would just, crap your pants if that happened?
Wall punching you, perhaps?
Well, there you go.
Kind of a, double
Well,
reaction.
that's the thing. When I started laughing, when I heard that in the retroactive future, you would definitely punch me.
That's right. I mean...
if anybody even just broke a smile, you would try to physically hurt them inside of, the first minute or two after you heard the news.
And I actually happen to like Tim Tebow and Danny Amendola. It's just that...
They're not Welker and Hernandez.
And the fact that the Patriots are going into the year, their number one receiver is Danny Amendola. And let's say Gronkowski's injured. This is how their offense is going.
And let's say Amendola's injured too, because that's a real possibility. Or let's assume he could get injured.
He could get injured at any time. So here's their offense. Aaron Dobson, the rookie, right? Aaron Dobson?
Is he the number 2 wide receiver?
Well, he's going to be on the outside, and Danny Amendola is going to be in the slot, I think.
Oh, so he'll be the traditional number 1 receiving,
right,
the role of the number 1 receiver, but he's not going to be the number 1 receiving option.
I believe so.
Okay, I've never even heard of that guy until you just mentioned his name. I usually know this stuff, but...
Well, he was drafted. He was drafted in round 2, I believe, or round 3 by the Patriots.
Okay.
And of course Amendola in the slot, but of course he's a question mark. And then Jake Ballard, who hasn't played in 2 years,
and who Belichick essentially stole from the Giants, and they put him on waivers just to get back at them for
that's right,
the Super Bowls.
And
he will never admit that, but that's pretty much why he did it.
And either Michael Humanauanui or Tim Tebow.
Humanauanui, some of the funnest names to say in the league. And so as for the running backs...
Oh, the running backs are still good, though.
But that's the thing. In an emergency, would you put Vereen at wide receiver for some place?
I think you'd have to. And they lost Woodhead also. Do they still have Edelman? I think they re-signed Edelman. Never mind. Okay, so they still have Edelman. But
so they have the monopoly on really short, light, wide receivers who would absolutely get destroyed by linebackers. They have the monopoly on those.
Listen,
I want them to call Joe Jurevicius out of retirement right now.
Well, listen, Brady, we have to remember, had a year where he made it to the AFC Championship game and should have won, by the way, in 2006.
Yes.
Against the Colts, with his leading receivers being Rashae Caldwell and Jabbar Gaffney.
Right, and in the Super Bowls that the Pats won in 01, 03, and 04, he was working with Deion Branch, David Patton, Troy Brown.
Yes.
Just a bunch of nobodies, but this is the real question here, and it's the one that Pats fans have been asking themselves secretly for the past couple years, but haven't really considered it. How much time does Brady have left?
He says he wants to play till he's 40.
Which is reasonable. Because not every quarterback is going to be Brett Favre and play into their 40s. Usually the peak for them is 31 and 32. After that, starts going downhill.
And also, he never ever takes a hit, where every time Brady...
He's been lucky to have fantastic offensive lines. If he and Ben Roethlisberger switched places, he would not be playing right now.
Well, but also... Brady is essentially a statue in the pocket, and anytime...
But he has fantastic footwork, really quick release, so...
Oh, yeah.
A lot of that is a credit to him as well as...
But this is what gets me angry about Brady, which is...
He has a man bag and ponytail.
Leave the personal life out of this, but
Water slide picture?
No, professionally.
Any listeners search Tom Brady water slide on Google? Okay, continue.
In terms of on-field performance, this is what gets me angry about Tom Brady, which is to say that he's in the pocket.
Okay.
And he'll hold it for more than 3 seconds, which is like his usual time, or 2 seconds or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he'll just like start getting real nervous.
And then he'll just
kind of fall down, like kneel down slowly, like he's just been shot or something, and he's just I don't understand what's going on. Like there'll be times when there's not even really there's pressure, but there's not like impending pressure, and he'll just fall down, and it's just like, what are you doing? What's going on? He's probably the softest quarterback in the league. There's no question about it. And also, there's times where it's like he's in the pocket, everyone's covered, there's no pressure whatsoever, there's a huge hole, it's 3rd and 3. It's just like, run 3 yards.
You could walk 3 yards.
You could walk 3 yards.
You could walk 3 yards and fall down.
And it's just like, nope. And then when he finally does it, it's the most awkward running. I don't. He just has no athletic ability whatsoever. Unfortunately.
Well, no athletic ability with his legs. Obviously, with his arm,
right.
Like hand-eye, he's otherworldly. But and that's probably a lot of the reason why he wasn't taken so high in the draft, or why he was taken so low, which is that scouts kind of looked at his inability to scramble outside of the pocket with pressure, and they thought, oh, well, once a rush starts coming in on him, he's screwed. And obviously he can move around very well inside the pocket, and fortunately for him, he's played behind an offensive line for his whole career, where he doesn't have to scramble.
And also, Tom, I know you're picked 199th or whatever overall. We don't need to hear that again, ever. We get it. You were picked low.
Hey, does he actually say that a lot? Because I try not to listen to his press conferences.
He had that one special on ESPN about him, and he started crying because he was picked 199th. And it was like, you've won 3 Super Bowls. You've won 2 MVP awards.
You have a Brazilian supermodel as your wife. Nobody is feeling sorry for you.
You're going to go down as one of the greatest QBs in history. No one is going to remember your draft level.
Save it for your Hall of Fame speech.
That's right. Is that really what you need to be motivated now? You need to keep going back to what happened 12 years ago? Or I don't understand that. But anyway, the Patriots offseason, if I were to give it a grade, I would still give it a higher grade than what I got in chemistry in sophomore year. So,
and that's why we're going to be good doing this radio show together, because it's not like it's going to be like, hey, Markel, can you do the radio show? Oh, no, I have homework to do. You will disregard everything to do this if you're having a good enough time.
I don't know what homework is. Well, this is my philosophy on homework, and I'm sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, go ahead. I will just sit here with my bag of popcorn.
We go to school for 7.5 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
Now, why is it that we have to go home and do another 3 hours of homework? And that's minimum for a lot of people, which is, there's a lot of advanced classes, AP classes, the whole, the Princeton thing,
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our school, it's a lot of, like, education is first, and you must take...
Well, actually, here's what I hate. You know what I hate? When there was a big test, everybody comes in, and before the test, it's instantly a competition to see who wasted more of their life studying. 7 hours. Oh, we got 8 hours over here. 10 hours over there. 10 hours, going once, going twice. 11. 11:30.
That's right.
And here's the thing. I'm not decrying studying because, like, I try in school and stuff like that, but all you really need is 30 to 40 minutes for a week, maybe an hour the night before the test. There's no reason to do that beyond just A, like if you're really desperate, and if you are, then B, You shouldn't be going into the classroom with a big smile on your face saying, "Guess how much I studied last night."
Yeah. What, do you want an award because you studied 12 hours? And once you get to, like, hour number 7...
What are you learning that's new?
Yeah. You've probably forgotten half the stuff that you studied 4 hours ago.
Exactly.
So it's like, really? And it's just... Homework should be non-existent. Maybe big projects, long-term projects. I could see that being something you would do outside of school. But... you've got, listen.
Like, I'm okay with homework as long as it's under, like, an hour or an hour 30.
Yes, but a lot of these people they complain it's like hours and hours and hours of homework.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm lucky because I don't ever do homework. So, but I mean, if I had that gene that was just like you must slave over homework for hours on end and just totally neglect any personal time.
Uh-huh.
I would be miserable, and I couldn't imagine anyone else. I think the problem is, and this is what I talk to a lot of people about. There's so much time wasted in school.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting into class, watching meaningless movies that no one pays attention to, just doing busy work, filling out answers. You're not really learning anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just teaching straight out of the textbook. By the end
in school's defense, I've had teachers that make me feel like, wow, this is worth learning. I do want to be here, but there are a bunch that just don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of teachers that aren't great at their jobs, borderline.
I get at least one or two of them every year that it's just, all right, textbook.
That's right.
Textbook.
Movie.
Print this worksheet out from my online manual or whatever.
Yeah, busy work. It's just work for the sake of work. And by the end of the school day, by the end of the 7.5-hour school day, you've learned maybe an hour tops.
But the best thing about the work for the sake of work teachers is they're not taking the initiative to make their own exercises and whatnot. So they're definitely not going to take initiative to really scrutinize and grade what you've done. So, like, for, let's say, math, and I actually like my math teacher this year, but in past years, there have been some that have been pretty questionable. But what I do is, number one, without looking at the book, 110. Number two, 8/3.
That's right.
And... yeah, and it's just like that.
However, us complaining about our education system is funny, as in it's totally a first world thing where it's just like there are places that don't have education at all.
There are places where you wouldn't know what 4+3 is.
Right. So
but we should actually probably get back to sports.
Right.
This has gone a little long-winded.
Right. We sound very, very whiny right now. White people problems right now.
Absolutely.
In my case, half white people, but yes. Yes.
Also, I came across this topic, and I thought this would be a really good idea to close out the podcast with.
Mm-hmm.
So Dwight Howard's in the middle of his "Who am I going to sign with?" soap opera, which I...
Hold on, I don't mean to cut you off, but let's just wrap up the video game thing. Just yay or nay on, are you going to, what are you thinking about the new video games? Yay or nay on 2K14?
I will absolutely purchase that.
I'm going to have to go with green light there, too.
Yeah, green light.
Yeah, and what about for Madden 25?
Probably not, actually. Because I just got 13, and my rule is don't buy them every single year. Buy them every 2 or every 3.
I'm actually going to have to go with a yes on Madden 25, too. Because,
like, if I got just Madden 12, I would say yes on that. But I got Madden 13, so I'm like, kind of okay.
There's a lot of pomp and circumstance around Madden 25, though, being that it's the 25th anniversary.
I think that the release of the Madden games and the showcases have at this point become genuinely more exciting than the actual features in the game. Like, there are Hall of Famers on hand for it, they have big release parties, and it's like, wow, this is really cool. Then you get the game and it's like, no, this feels like the same thing as last year. Yeah.
All right, so we're both kind of in agreement. We're both in agreement on the NBA game, and then I could probably go either way on the Madden, and you're going to give it a no.
There. Real quick, any other games you're looking out for this summer?
In terms of sports, no.
Not really in terms of sports for me either. I might get the new college football one, but
yeah, I don't really pay attention to college, but Yeah, that's pretty much Madden comes out in late August, so that'll be first thing I check out, I would say.
And then in terms of other games, for a long time there's really nothing that I'm really highly anticipating.
The new Grand Theft Auto's coming out in September.
I've never been a Grand Theft Auto guy.
Oh, come on,
Never
man.
been a Grand Theft Auto guy.
Oh.
Like, I played it, and I just thought,
It's really one of the most entertaining games I've ever played. The guys at Rockstar, they made Red Dead Redemption, and it's just open world games are just incredibly fun. But anyway,
all right.
in terms of, let's get back to Dwight Howard. You were talking about.
All right, so Dwight Howard, he's doing the soap opera. Will I sign here? Will I re-sign? Will I not sign here? Et cetera, blah 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 blah. And the Lakers are kind of upping the stakes. Here's what they said to Dwight Howard. They said, okay, we're going to sign you onto this extension. Pretty good extension. I believe it's something like $11-12 million a year. But if you sign with us, you get your own show, your own TV show on local stations. You will have a Dwight Howard show. Now, Matt, I don't know if this happened with you. It certainly happened with me. But when I saw Dwight Howard, I immediately thought, oh, that's a guy who should have his own TV show.
Oh.
I really think I'd watch that. Who would ever watch the Dwight Howard show?
Listen, people, I don't think anyone would watch it for the pure sake of it being good.
Totally ironic watching.
Oh,
only.
Everyone would watch it, though, ironically. Absolutely. Or hate watching, ironically, whatever you want to say.
Uh-huh. Like how you watch The Walking Dead.
That's right. I'm sure the potential for unintentional comedy will be absolutely astounding.
But that's the thing. You had... I actually disagree. I don't even think there'll be unintentional comedy because you had the Chad Ochocinco show on VH1 that everybody's like, oh, this is going to be so unintentionally hilarious just seeing him do dumb stuff. And it was just boring. He just didn't do anything. Then you had, like, the what would Ryan Lochte do? And it's like, oh, this is going to be just the best to completely crap on for its entire run. And I haven't heard a thing about it.
Well, that's because Ryan Lochte
is a swimmer.
He's a swimmer, but also he's just not a very intelligent person. He doesn't come off as a very intelligent person.
Yes.
I obviously don't know him personally, but he doesn't come off as someone that's you're hanging on to every word of his that he's saying.
Actually, you know who I think really should have had a TV show back in his day? Charles Barkley.
Oh,
I know, like, he now does the TNT NBA pregame show, and obviously he's hilarious there, but could you imagine Charles Barkley with his own show, like, in his playing days?
That would be incredible.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm disliking the idea of a Dwight Howard reality show. As in...
You didn't dislike it enough in the first place?
Well, again, ironically, I thought it had some potential for comedy. Okay. But I'm thinking about it, Dwight Howard's secretly one of the least charismatic players on the planet. As in, at least guys with... I mean, he has zero personality, right?
Right.
At least guys like, like Kobe, love him or hate him, most likely hate him.
Yeah,
but... He's got a personality which is like, ice cold, like selfish, stuff like that. And at least he's got some charisma. You know what I mean? He's got some fans.
Oh, but I do want to see this moment on the Dwight Howard show. The moment where Kobe first sees the cameras following Dwight Howard around and they try to film him. And he just has this look of unbridled disgust on his face. I can see it now, and it's gorgeous.
I would say the best episodes of that show, or the best segments of that show, or scenes, would definitely be him, Dwight Howard, going to the Lakers facility in the offseason, and then just watching practices, and seeing probably how Kobe just totally tries to dominate him in practice.
Well, that's the thing. And once again, say what you will about Kobe, and I hate him.
Sure.
But he is probably one of, if not the hardest workers in the NBA.
Yes.
And he's just a complete basketball freak. He shows up to practices hours ahead of time and stays hours late. Like, one of the typical arrive there when the practice facility's unlocked, leave when they're shutting down for the night. somehow I don't get the impression that Dwight Howard's one of those people.
There are 3 episodes I'd like to see from the Dwight Howard show. One, Dwight Howard tries to go to Brooklyn. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Dwight Howard goes back to Orlando to just, catch up with old friends and stuff. And
Does he have friends there?
Well, old teammates, let's say. And he ends up stopping by the old Orlando practice facility during practice, and I just want to see him get totally shunned. And just totally, like, dirty looks.
Or the other way around, where team members and facility people start begging him to come back.
Yeah, it could go 2 ways. The next episode I'd like to see, him and Steve Nash go up to Canada. Steve's visiting his family up in Toronto or whatever. And Dwight Howard's accompanying him. A long road trip, obviously. Long
road trip.
Buddy kind of
Actually,
comedy.
just a car... Not even a road trip, a car ride with him, Kobe, and Steve Nash would just be... I would love to see that.
Hold on. The Kobe episode's coming.
Steve Nash, sorry. I don't want to step on your toes here.
Yeah. So the Steve Nash episode, they go to Canada, long road trip. Obviously, Dwight Howard gets to Canada. Canadians are looking at him like, oh my god, 7-foot black man, crazy. And so he tries to,
He meets Steve Nash's in-laws.
He meets Steve Nash's family.
Steve Nash's family. We had a whole discussion about how overplayed the in-law thing is in comedies, and that's where that came from.
And 3rd episode, Dwight Howard accompanies Kobe to Germany for illegal knee reconstruction surgery, which would just be absolutely fantastic.
Oh boy, that would be awesome. But
alleged, I should say. We don't know if whatever Kobe did was against the rules.
But it was probably against the rules.
Little shady dealing going on in Germany there.
But actually, when you said that Dwight Howard was uncharismatic, I was actually thinking as to who would be good for a reality show, and it occurred to me, you don't actually have a dominant personality in the league right now, because LeBron James obviously the dominant player, but his personality is just kind of generic. Like, he's not a Jordan-like, I'm gonna cut your throat if I'm playing you. He's not a Charles Barkley wild partying type. He's just kind of, he just kind of says the same things over and over.
Well, I
don't feel like there is a dominant personality right now.
I think LeBron, the interesting thing with him is he started out in Cleveland as kind of a happy-go-lucky, like very enthusiastic about the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, later in his career, when he went to Miami or later in Cleveland, when he started to get a lot more hate for stuff, that kind of hardened him up. And
by the way, I don't think he should have gotten as much. Like, I agree about the outrage over the decision, but all the flack he got for not being clutch and all that, well, it's a little difficult to be clutch when they're sending 4 guys at you because they don't have to defend Eric Snow and Drew Gooden and Mo Williams.
And there were examples of him being clutch before, too.
Yeah, I think it was 2006 against Detroit in Game 6 when he just went bonkers and ended up with 48 points.
Yeah, so LeBron, he transformed from kind of like happy-go-lucky to more of an Iceman, more of a guy with kind of hardened and more of a Jordan type. Not obviously not as aggressive or more as focused, but I shouldn't say focused, but more as intense.
Yeah,
but he's still
in Cleveland. You used to see him running around and doing like practice dunks during the shoot around. Now he's just. I think the change really happened Game 6 in Boston of last year, where he just had that look on his face, and you knew, okay, either he's just totally petrified and he's gonna just bomb tonight, or Boston's gonna lose by 30 points.
Right.
You just had that look where you knew his career was being defined that night, and that's now how he carries himself in every game.
So I think he could be interesting to follow around, but in terms of like pure charisma, there is no Charles Barkley today. I mean, Blake Griffin's trying to do like these commercials where
I don't think he has personality.
No, he's trying to play. It's like an underplayed character. I don't know. There's just unfortunately today, you're right. There's not really any players.
No, hold on. Chris Paul and Cliff Paul.
Oh, that's right. State Farm. That's right. Yes.
Oh,
those commercials are awful, by the way. But
I'm gonna say I actually chuckled when I first saw it. By the second time, I already got tired of it, and by the third time, I'm like, if I see one more damn thing about Cliff Paul, I am going to try to attack my TV with a baseball bat.
they're just, I don't understand it. They're just not funny. But anyway.
No, hold on. You didn't think Discount Double Check was funny?
Hold on. We can somehow tie in State Farm to sponsor Dwight Howard's reality show. Magic could happen.
Well, also, by the way, State Farm, on the off chance that you want to get two random teenagers on a small internet radio station to stop crapping on you, just send us a couple bucks and we'll start saying we love your commercials.
I love State Farm. They're the funniest.
Aaron Rodgers, brave choice. So much charisma.
Clay Matthews.
Discount Double Check.
That's right. Hey, I used to call him the black hole of charisma because he actually sucked any charisma that anyone else had out of the room. But, hey, listen, State Farm, if you're willing to throw a couple bucks this way,
Not even that much. Just, purchase us some pop filters or mics or something, and suddenly we'll even play your appalling commercials on our air.
Clay Matthews actually starting to look a little funny there, right? Is that a Clay Matthews or Jerry Seinfeld? I can't tell the difference. Yeah, I'm not going to do the whole theme song. But anyway.
For a second, I thought you were doing The Price is Right. Like, do-do-do-do-do-do.
As my grandfather used to say, when you start humming the Seinfeld theme song, it's time to wrap up the podcast. So,
did your grandfather actually say that?
Sage old man he was. But anyway, I feel...
And actually, if you agree to give us our own show, one of the many benefits is you'll hear a lot more things that Matt's grandfather used to say.
That's right.
So,
wise,
and he was
sage.
a very, very wise person.
He's like Yoda and Fozzie Bear rolled into one, as Mr. Goldstein so eloquently put it. I'm sorry.
All right. Well,
yes.
Anyways, that's going to be the end of our show. We said 30 to 45 minutes at the beginning, but we had a lot to talk about, so we kind of stretched into an hour, so we hope you like it.
There's some bonus content in there.
A lot of bonus content. So, Matt, before we wrap up, any last thoughts?
Well, I feel like this was a fun time, successful, and I hope you guys find it. Pick us up for the air. I don't exactly know the term, not pick us up, but...
Syndicate us?
Syndicate us, yes.
Syndicate would be in multiple markets. Crap, this could turn into another 10 minutes. We better just
wrap it up.
All right, see you later, guys.